Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Ginger Pierce, and I'm one of the travel agents with Marvelous Mouse Travels. We are the agency that runs this Facebook group, and we also run several others that are focused on different destinations. We are an authorized Disney vacation planner. We are earmarked platinum. And what that means is just that we are extensively trained on site by Disney and recognized by them as matching, the excellent standards for customer service that they have, as well as also hitting a certain sales level, which means that, we plan a lot of Disney vacations. And so we know the ins and outs of planning a Disney vacation. And we've been recognized by Disney as having that level of expertise. So welcome to Sundays with MMT. This is actually the first Sundays with MMT that we have ever done in our Disneyland group. But we started this initiative back in November of 2020. And this is a weekly live agent panel video series that we do in one of our Facebook groups every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And so we are so excited to be in this group for the first time ever tonight, because that means that we are talking about reopening, which I know for all of you who are California residents is such an exciting thing to talk about Disneyland being back and about, to reopen to all of you to enjoy again. And so we're so excited to get to talk about that tonight. We are going to be sharing a lot of information with you up front, but we do want to reserve some time at the end of the video to take your questions. So if at any point you do have a question, go ahead and feel free to drop that into the comments, and we will get to all of those questions at the end. We are live tonight using a program called StreamYard, and StreamYard might ask you, if you want to post a question or comment, to approve it to display your profile picture as well as your username. Just know that you don't have to approve that permission. You can decline that and still post anonymously, and we'll be able to see it and interact with you. But I'm joined tonight by three amazing Marvelous Mouse Travels agents. Ladies, thank you so much for being here tonight. And if you would take just a second to introduce yourself, tell us how long you've been with the agency, and what's the best way for people to contact you if they're interested in planning a vacation.
Hi, I'm Dina Artizzoni. I have been with Marvelous Mouse Travels for 6 months. You can reach me at the screen you see below with dina@marvelousmousetravels.com.
Hello, I'm Amy Kraus, and I've been with Marvelous Mouse Travels for a little over a year and a half now. You can reach me at amy.kraus@marvelousmousetravels.com, or find me on all social platforms at kraus.andthemouse.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Versillo. I've been with Marvelous Mouse Travels for a little over 4 years now. So excited that Disneyland's reopening. It's been a long time coming. You can find me on the gram at Jacqueline's Marvelous Mouse Travels and DM me for any questions you may have.
And again, I'm Ginger. I'm actually about to celebrate my 3-year anniversary with the agency next month. I'm a master planner. And the best way to get in touch with me is to visit my blog at gingermmt.com. That will also link you to a lot of my other social media platforms as well. So, ladies, after over a year of closure, Disneyland is officially about to reopen. And I know, especially for those of you on the West Coast, that has got to be so exciting, because those of us, I'm on the East Coast, for instance, we have had Disney World open since, July of last year, but you guys have not had your Disney park over there open. And so I know that you have to I know Jacqueline's excited because she made this balloon display that you see behind her, which is awesome. And I love it. But, I can't wait to talk and kind of hear about what guests can expect when they make their first trip back over to Disneyland. So Disneyland, obviously the parks have not been open, but they have been implementing kind of phased reopenings to parts of their experiences, things like Downtown Disney or some of their special events like A Touch of Disney, the food festival that they've had going on. So what are some of the safety protocols that they have had in place so far for the phased reopenings that they've done?
Well, I just want to say it has been we are so excited that it felt like a rebirth. Like, here we go, we're reopening again. Over a year, nobody would have seen this coming. So we are just so excited to welcome people back to, the parks. And right now it is only for California residents. And we will go from there. But the number one thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to mask up, make sure you get your Disney masks ready. And social distancing is definitely happening. And I will tell you, a lot of people ask, are you going to feel safe? Are people following rules? Disney is on top of it. You are 100% going to feel safe, and they are going to do their best to make sure that everybody's wearing their mask correctly. You're only eating while sitting down in certain areas. There are markers everywhere on the ground for you to see. And characters will be social distance with pictures, but they are out and about. And I will tell you, I was just there last weekend, and the magic is still there. And I personally am going to open the weekend of Disneyland, and I'm going to cry. I already know it. But it's just really exciting that we're finally here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
I
go ahead. Go ahead, Dina.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying in agreement with Jacqueline. It was bringing back, you're there and you just feel like the magic is back. I've always been able to walk around the parks anyway and not think about the rides or anything like that. I've always enjoyed walking around. So to me, I didn't even think that was a factor. The rides were not there. I didn't even think about that because you got to see the characters. The cast members are there and they're guiding everybody. And it really feels, there's a comfort level there. You really enjoy it, and the social distancing is absolutely perfect. You can wash your hands anywhere. They have little stands and sanitizing as well.
Yeah.
And I think we're very lucky because Walt Disney World was kind of like the baby of this, and it was the experiment, and it worked. And so we have all of those details and those implementations of all these new rules that are going to work for Disneyland as well. And we're pretty lucky that, it took a while to get there, but it's very similar to Walt Disney World, and except for the ticketing process. That is a whole new ballgame. But, we really had a lot to look at with Walt Disney World, and it helped with the reopening of Disneyland. And Dina, I don't know if you saw this too, like the the plexiglass up everywhere and the markings on the ground. And it was really, I was going to a Touch of Disney. I was thinking, I'm like, okay, well, the parks are opening in a couple of weeks. I wonder how far along in the process are they ready? They are totally ready. They are, if they opened up tomorrow, they'd be ready.
Yeah.
They have
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, I will say too, that I have been down to Disney World, 2 times actually since the reopening, because we did feel so safe, and knowing that those protocols are being enforced. Of course, it's Disney, they're going to be enforcing that in a way that is kind and, open and friendly. So they're definitely not going to be, sticking their finger in your face or anything like that. But they are definitely following those protocols. They are making sure that guests are being, responsible with their masking. And I have never felt like the parks were as clean as they were when we were down, after the reopening. And I'm sure that Disneyland is going to have just that same level of cleanliness and attention to detail that, we've seen work and be really, really successful at Disney World since July. So that's really exciting.
And I think now is the time to go for sure, because capacity is going to be low. I've never seen the parks like that before. And once they open with capacity being lower, it's the time to go. You will never see the parks like this again.
Right.
Yes, seriously. We were at Disney World the week that it closed. So we were there when they announced they would be closing. And of course, it was spring break and it was pre-pandemic. So it was crazy and full. And we went to Disney World in February. And the crowd level, with the capacity limits, it's amazing. So yes, if you can go, California residents, go take advantage. 15% capacity. I can't even imagine what that looks like. I can't even comprehend what that is, because Disney World was at 25% when I went. And it's funny, I've been watching some of the comments and questions of people on the different Facebook groups. And some people are asking, okay, what ride should I hit first? And how should I make sure I do it? And I'm thinking, y'all, you should be able to do everything like 3 times with 15% capacity, no problem. So it's going to be amazing.
So true. Yeah.
Yeah. And you notice more of the details in the parks too. I think just because you're not rushing from place to place, you're not fighting through a crowd of people, and you get to just take more of it in.
Mhm.
And I really love that. Like that's
Yes.
why we've been down twice. We went the first time. We were like, this is fantastic. We're gonna
Yeah.
do this again. So yeah, I totally agree. Now I know some of you ladies had the chance to
Yeah, it makes you want to
attend.
go back more and more.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely it does. Now, I know some of you ladies had the chance to attend A Touch of Disney. So I would love to hear about your experience. Can you take a couple minutes to kind of give us your review of what that event was like?
Sure. Personally, so we jumped at the chance to be in the parks and eat all the food. It was a really great event. I personally, we ate so many good things that we had been missing, like Dole. Yes, like we stopped at the Abominable Snowman and got our Dole Whip. We actually had a reservation at Lamplight Lounge. And so we got to sit there. And again, it was incredible. Tickets were sold out, so it was at capacity. And I could look across Pixar Pier and nobody was walking on it. It was just wonderful. They had the Incredicoaster running, which kind of got everybody excited, like, oh, this is it. This is happening. But I would say our favorite things that we had at the event were definitely the potato skins at Lamplight Lounge. My kids only ate sugar that day, so they would say the Cozy Cone churros and the Dole Whip. But the food was great. They offered so many different things. The picture just flashed of like the tacos. There was everything you could imagine. And what was wonderful, it was a lot of mobile ordering, which is great. And that will definitely continue through reopening. The mobile order is fantastic. We just loaded our dining card and we were able to just order and pick up and go. And that will definitely still be in effect when the parks open. But it was so wonderful. You could tell the cast members are really excited to be back, and just hearing the music play and everything. It was a really wonderful event. And again, low capacity. So my husband, who loves our Disney trips, was like, is this what it's going to be like for reopening? I was like, yeah. And he's like, sign me up. Like, this is amazing. Like, nope, you had your space. And you mentioned, like, I was able to see details of the park that I had never noticed before. And I'm like, this park is beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Absolutely. I totally agree. You feel so much more, I think, immersed in the theming because you're not, peering through a crowd of people and trying to, see through people like that. So you guys mentioned too that when the parks do reopen, which the official reopening date for Disneyland is April 30th, and when you guys mentioned that it's initially at least only open to California residents. So tell us a little bit about the park pass reservation system. That if you are a California resident and you are able to secure tickets, what is the park pass reservation system and kind of how does that work?
So the Park Pass reservation system, they implemented this when Disney World opened, which was awesome because, again, everybody's kind of got to get used to it that have been able to go to Disney World. And it basically allows Disneyland to control the capacity and ensure that they're not going to be above that 15%, which is the initial reopening capacity. So the theme park reservation availability calendar is something that every guest needs to check before they buy their tickets and book hotels. So that way they can ensure that the parks are available for those dates. And surprisingly, I've been on the site for the last, 50 hours since the tickets started selling and working with clients and things. And there's still availability. There are still some days in mid-May where both parks are still available. Disneyland's almost at full capacity for every day in May, but California Adventure's open. And then in June, as to be expected, the first weekend in June when Marvel campus opens, it is at capacity on June 5th and 6th already. So it's just the place you need to check to make sure that availability is there. And then you buy your tickets and you link them and you make your reservation as soon as possible.
Yeah.
and you can book 60 days out, which is great, but you can still book your vacation package all the way through December. And again, like Amy mentioned, there's still a lot of dates open, because it's only California residents now. And a lot of us were annual pass holders before. So this whole new ticket thing was like, wait, what? So it was a learning process. But it's a 60-day out reservation system, which is great. I'm sure going forward that might adjust, but the Grand Californian is the only resort that is open right now, which it's a fantastic resort. So I personally am checking in there opening weekend and heading to the parks. So I really can't wait. I'm ecstatic. But so Grand Californian, but you can also book Good Neighbor hotels as well at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's I think they said over 26 Good Neighbor hotels that are open for the initial opening, and we also can book those for everybody, which
they'll be
is
slowly,
great.
yeah,
and a lot of people
be opening up too.
Yeah, and a lot of them are walking distance, so it's really easy. So if you don't want to stay on property, it's easy to stay off property there.
That's one of the things that, being a Disney World girl, being on the East Coast, that's one of the things that so excites me and is just really interesting about Disneyland, that you do have so many walkable options, like even not just on site, like you can really get over there a whole lot easier, I think, at Disneyland. And that's really great. And you guys mentioned the Avengers campus that's opening in early June. What an amazing opportunity to get to experience that at reduced capacity. Like, I mean, if you think back to what the crowds were like when Galaxy's Edge opened, and you compare that to what people are going to get to experience in June for Marvel's Avengers Campus, I mean, that is a once in a lifetime opportunity. That's not the type of thing that comes around ever. And so, I have tried, and I'm sure you guys have too, throughout this whole, pandemic, to kind of try and look and see the bright side. And obviously, it has been a difficult year in a number of levels. It's certainly been a difficult year for the travel industry and the theme parks, and have really felt the impact of that. But there have been, bright spots in that. And I think that these reopening procedures and maybe almost the love and investment in Disney theme parks that people realized they have when they didn't have the opportunity to go the way that they had grown. It just kind of like absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I think we've definitely seen that be the case with parks. Yeah. Over the last year.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about, you guys mentioned the hotels, but let's talk a little bit about characters, because characters are obviously a huge part of the Disney experience. And I know that at Disneyland, they tend to be a little bit more out and about and walking around a little bit more accessible than they are at Disney World. So what are the character experiences going to be like after the parks reopen?
So for A Touch of Disney,
they'll have what's called cavalcades, which are like little.
Go ahead, Dina.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
There's cavalcades where they'll have little, just small little, what do you want to call them? Parade trams, just maybe like one little coach, and they'll have float. Thank you. And they'll have a couple of the characters, and they'll just be going through, and it'll be occasionally. So you won't really know when they're coming through, which is nice because that means the crowd won't be standing there waiting. And that's what it's all about. And so, and they're consistent. They're going to be pretty consistent if it's similar to Disney World. And then for the characters themselves, they will be having them in like locations, say up near the train, and might have like a little dance event or something, where everyone's just kind of saying hi and singing, and it'll go on probably for about 15 or 20 minutes. There you go. There's Mickey right there. During Touch of Disney, they did some really cute things. They had Goofy fishing out of Cannery Row into the bay. And then they had Donald in Wilderness, like in the trees, checking off his little camper listing. So it was really cute. And it's fun because the kids can stand around, and even the adults. And I was on an all-girls trip, and we got a kick out of all of this. And it was just fun because they really did interact, and they spent a lot of time doing it too. It wasn't like a short-lived, they're there for 5 minutes and they take off, and the poor kids are crying because they missed out on seeing, Donald. So it really, I'm enjoying it more so. I'm seeing more characters now than before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree too. And I think, Disneyland, the characters are everywhere all the time. And I think that was a big learning experience for Disney when they were reinventing the wheel for Walt Disney World. Instead of waiting like 2 hours, 3 hours to meet maybe Mickey, they were like, no, we need to put the characters out. And that was a positive change. And I think, although it was a tough year, it really made Disney kind of take a step back and relook at things. And everybody, the main question is it still going to be magical? Is it still going to be the same? And I always say, look, it was a nice time that they could take a step back and rework some things that maybe weren't the best. And it's a new way of doing things, and it's working. And so for us, I agree, at the Touch of Disney, the characters were out and about in a social distancing way, but I did not feel like I missed anything from them.
Right.
You can still take your picture, but I think it's a positive thing that they got to relook at, what they were doing and say, okay, how do we change it for the better?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with the cavalcades and stuff, what's really nice about that too, another positive takeaway with that is you don't have to scope out a spot for a parade for 2 hours and miss out on rides or, it's just, you're going to be walking around somewhere, maybe on the pier, maybe, on Main Street, something, you're going to hear some music start, and that's going to be the indicator that you're going to probably see somebody driving down the street waving, and they'll have cast members in front and behind the car kind of, navigating, asking everybody to move over to the side so the car can get through or the float can get through. And you'll see, maybe multiple princesses on one, Mickey and Minnie on one. So it's still a great way to interact and see the characters, but without having to, invest so much time in it. It's just more spontaneous, which makes it really fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because it is like before the closures, you're staking out a spot for parades, you're staking out a spot for fireworks, you're taking a lot of time. And and same thing with meeting characters, you might be standing in line or something like that. But now you just have the ability to just enjoy the rides, enjoy the parks and kind of experience it. And you're not missing those characters. You're just seeing them in a different way. So, I have been a really huge fan of that format for Walt Disney World. And so I can't imagine it not being, it's the same level of success out at Disneyland too, which is really, really exciting.
Right.
So we've talked about a little bit of everything. We've talked about park passes. We've talked about hotels and characters and cleaning protocols and everything. So I'm going to ask you guys to kind of wrap up our time together. I'm going to ask y'all a question kind of spontaneously. What is the one thing that you are most excited about experiencing at Disneyland again?
I know, it's so hard.
For me, honestly, I can't wait just to walk down Main Street and smell the confection, like just the smells and the music of Main Street. That's going to hit me hard, and I'm going to start crying. I just think seeing cast members back at work too is really special. And so just walking down Main Street again after over a year, I cannot wait.
Absolutely.
I think the same for me. My favorite thing is walking down Main Street at night in the evening with all the lights on and seeing the castle lit up. That's always my favorite. So walking out of the park and looking back one more time, I always get really, really sad, especially if it's my last day of the trip. But that's going to be what I think I'm going to just want to sit and soak in. And because, none of us knew the last time that we were walking out was going to be the last time for so long. So I don't think we'll take advantage of that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Dina, what about you?
For me, it will be Main Street as well. Main Street, I love the music. There's something that just empowers me with all the nostalgia, and it brings me back to my childhood. That, and then especially Storybook Land ride. I adore it, and I miss it so much. So those are the two.
Definitely. Well, I am so excited for all of you that, are on the West Coast to get to be back in the parks again, especially after so long and getting to experience that. I'm going to take a look here in just a second and see if we have had any questions that were posted in the group. So let's see. Oh, hello.
Hi.
All right. I think that might be the only one. So just know that even if you are catching the replay of this, I know that especially if you are a California resident, this might be right in the middle of dinner time or something like that for you. So you might not be watching this live, but just know that if you do come across this later and you have questions, you can go ahead and put those in the comments and we will still continue to monitor this post and to come back in to answer those questions for you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We had a lot of fun chatting about the reopening of Disneyland with you. And if you would like to get some information about planning your own trip from any of the agents that you heard from tonight, feel free to reach out. If you missed the very beginning of the video, all of the contact information was shared back towards the beginning. But our services are completely free, and you're not going to pay any extra to book your vacation through a travel agent with Marvelous Mouse Travels than you would pay to book it yourself on Disney's website. And yet you're going to get to work with someone who is up to date on changes and procedures and protocols and who can really kind of walk with you every step of the way through this reopening process and even beyond. So feel free to reach out. But we thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again on another Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern for a future episode of Sundays with MMT. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.